How to overcome imposter syndrome. A lot of people struggle with it. I struggled with it myself. I struggled with it heavily when I was hired by Russell Brunson, right? He has almost $1 billion company, and I felt it so strongly my first 2 months working for him that I almost didn't speak for the first 2 months. I want to teach you in this video how I got over that. Let's dive in. All right, imposter syndrome is real, and if you're watching this video, you've probably felt it or are feeling it right now, and I get it. I didn't know I had it. Actually, I didn't know that's what it was called. I just was like, man, I'm not good enough. What if I get found out that I'm not good enough? What happened was I was working next to Russell Brunson, and I was a hyper fan of his. You understand? I told him, I regret saying this to him. I was like, dude, I almost put a freaking poster of you up in my room in college. You know, like people do that to sports people. They're like, yeah, Michael Jordan. I was like, yeah, Russell Brunson. To this day, I'm so glad I did not do that. But I'm still telling the story, so I guess it's still awkward. But it was awkward for me because I was sitting there and I had two monitors. Okay, there's two big, massive monitors. And we sat back to back. Russell and I, especially in the first office. He had 3 monitors, I had 2, and it just so happened that the way the monitors were angled, his face would bounce off of his monitor into mine and see me. So it looked like he was staring at me at 24/7, even though we were sitting back to back. So I was like so scared that I wasn't good enough to be there. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, he's looking at me all day long, even though we're back to back. I'm gonna get found out, I'm gonna get fired. And it was a challenging thing for me to figure that out. I actually thought that I was gonna get fired the first 3 months that I worked there. I would go back to our little apartment and tell my ex-wife, and I'd say, hey, I'm going to get fired. She's like, what are you talking about? I thought you were doing a great job. I was like, I did too, but apparently I'm not good enough in these areas over here and there and there. I was like, that I think, I don't know, I'm gonna get fired. And I ended up voxing and talking to Russell about it one day and said, hey, you know what, if you need to let me go or something like that. And he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, man, I've always been so afraid you're gonna fire me. He goes, dude, you're a fantastic funnel builder. What are you talking about? And I realized that this big thing was in my head. And there was a lot of things that were circulating around my head as far as whether or not I was good enough at what I was doing. So, with that backdrop, please know that I have very much experienced this syndrome, imposter syndrome. I want to teach you some things that I've learned about it so that you can overcome it yourself and get back to your mission. I am in no way, shape, or form your therapist, but let's go to step 1 here. I was on a Clubhouse, and I was getting interviewed on this Clubhouse, and there's a lot of people in the room, and this guy got up and he said, Steve, I got a quick question here for you. When am I good enough to start selling? He said, when am I good enough at the thing that I do to start selling? I was quiet for a little while. I was trying to figure out what he was really asking. And what I realized is that this guy didn't understand why money is exchanged in the first place. So step 1 here to overcoming imposter syndrome is to learn why people buy in the first place, okay? And so I told him, you think that people buy because you're an expert. That's not true at all. There's a lot of broke experts out there. There's no such thing as becoming an expert to make money. One of my favorite quotes is from Joe Polish, and he says, there's no relationship between being good and getting paid. That's true, right? There's a lot of experts out there who don't make money. Money making is not about being an expert. The quote continues though. So it starts off, it says, there's no relationship between being good and getting paid. However, there is a huge relationship between being good at marketing and getting paid. You have to understand, I love that quote. You have to understand that getting paid is about solving problems. That's it. Okay, when you solve a problem, that's why people pay you. Okay, we had a pipe burst in our ceiling one day, and came home and there's all this water that was falling from the ceiling and straight through the drywall. We had to cut out a massive section of the ceiling and had a guy come in and re-pipe it all. But you know what's funny is when he came in and said, hey, I can fix your thing. What I didn't ask was, are you the best plumber that ever existed on this entire planet? You know what I mean? I didn't ask that. That's not the qualifier for what it takes to actually collect cash. It's not. All right? It's one of the reasons we feel imposter syndrome is because we don't think we're good enough to do the thing that we've been hired to do, or we don't think we're good enough to play in the park or play in the realm. And so because of that, we start to down on ourselves and we say, I don't know if I'm good enough. I didn't ask the plumber if he was the best on the planet. What I asked was, can you fix my problem? And he was like, yeah, totally, I do this all the time. And I was like, oh, sweet. Didn't need to be an expert. I don't even care if that was the second time doing it. He fixed it. Does that make sense? You're not paid to be an expert, and you're not paid for perfection. You're paid to solve a problem. That's all it is. So as long as you can solve a problem and deliver a result, you don't need to carry this burden on your shoulders anymore of, I have to be the best. Am I good enough? Am I smart enough? That's what's going to destroy your mentality. But it's also not why money is exchanged in the first place. So my first step to overcoming imposter syndrome is to learn why somebody buys. Step number 2, learn what they buy. There was a lady that I was coaching once, and I do a lot of events, if you can't tell. So she was at this event, and she said, Steve, is this a good offer? And I was looking at the offer, and she had put in every single purchase that you bought from her, a 15-minute consultation. Just a 15-minute Q&A. And I was like, you should remove that from your offer. She was like, how come? I was like, because the goal is to sell thousands of these. So you're gonna do thousands of 15-minute consultations, which probably not will end. They're not gonna end at 15 minutes. Your life is over. I was like, you understand? Stop putting yourself inside of your offer. And she's like, well, that's quite fascinating. I said, well, if you do that, like you literally have no more time in the rest of your life. You're hoping to sell thousands of these things, not just like 1 or 2. I'm saying this, what does somebody actually purchase? What do they actually buy from you? Because they don't buy you. That's the thing I'm trying to say here. They don't purchase you. You're not the offer. You're not the offer. One of my favorite books says, it's called Story Brand, and it says, you should never be your customer's hero. I'm paraphrasing. Never be your customer's hero. Okay? The customer is their own hero. You're just the guide. And I want you to think about that, because one of the biggest reasons imposter syndrome happens is because you think you're the product. You're not the product. Okay? Learn what they buy. They're not buying you. They're buying an offer, and it's outside of you. And a lot of times we think that, oh, my imposter syndrome, am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I good? And we think that because we think we need to have answers to all things and all places all the time, and that's not true at all. They're buying this thing that is outside of you. That's what they're buying, okay? They are their own hero. You're just their guide. You're Gandalf, they're Frodo. Does that make sense? That's the relationship you need to set in place with the people that you go and you sell to. I love this quote. This is from the Coast Guard. It's an intense scenario, but just follow me for a second. When the Coast Guard is going out on a helicopter to save a sinking ship in a storm, they have a really tough question they got to answer. There's more bodies in the water than there is room in the helicopter. Who do they save? Their thing is that they save those that are swimming towards them. Okay? Do the same thing in business. All right? If someone is not swimming towards you and they're not trying to save themselves, don't sink yourself by trying to save someone who's not even willing to swim themselves. And so that relationship right there is very powerful, because you go out and it relieves from you imposter syndrome, relieves from you this burden that's not real, that you have to save them. No. They are their own hero, you're their guide, and they're not even purchasing you, they're purchasing a product that's outside of you. That removes the pressure from you. Before I show you how to actually monetize your fear and your imposter syndrome, which is kind of cool, please subscribe. Subscribe, and down below, I would like to know in the comments, what have you done to overcome your imposter syndrome? Okay, just be open about it. Just awareness is 80% of the solution. So if you feel like you have imposter syndrome, let us know down in the comments below. This is a safe environment. Tell us down below, what is it you've done to overcome imposter syndrome, because it's really hard to sell while you have it. All right, step number 3. Guys, when you feel like you have imposter syndrome, you need to lean into the sales game. One of my favorite case studies from college ever was actually about JCPenney. JCPenney saw Steve Jobs' Genius Bar. So Steve Jobs goes out, he makes the sweet Genius Bar, and this Genius Bar is unique. Remember, like the feeling of an Apple store, right? Well, JCPenney saw that. It's all a true story, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, I would love to have that. So what they did is JCPenney chose a regional area they hired the guy that made the Genius Bar, and they turned this regional area of JCPenney's into Apple stores. Basically, it looked like Apple. Now, first of all, can you imagine that? Like, that kind of feel already kind of feels weird. So they brought this guy in, and he started making all these changes. And he said, hey, consumer, we know that you're smart. We're not going to be sending out these mailers anymore. These dumb mailers that you get inside your mail that say like, hey, save 50%. You know what we're doing. We're not going to jack up the price just so you can use your coupon and then come on in and we'll drop the price. We're not gonna do that anymore. You're a smart consumer. And by the way, when it says $12.97, let's all be adults, it's $13. Have you ever thought that? I'm sure you thought that. Why does everything end in 97 and 99? That area all the sales just got destroyed. And the stock market, their stocks dropped like a fourth in value in a single quarter. Like it tanked super hard. Why? They stopped playing the game. They stopped playing the game. Okay, and so they immediately reversed it and they went back to the mailers and they went back to saying it's $12.97 instead of $13, and they reversed it so it didn't try to look like Apple and look like themselves. They just kind of upgraded a little bit and sales went back up and spiked a little bit more. But is he not right? You know what's going on. Have you ever been to Kohl's and you walk through the store of Kohl's and you're buying a pair of socks and they're like, you saved $50 today. You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, I spent $5. You saved $50. No, I spent $5. Why do they do that? They're playing the sales game. And we all know what's happening. It's $12.97. It's really $13. No, it's $12.97, not 13, right? The mailer that comes in the coupon piece. Guys, the community wants to play the game. Just because you know the game, don't get a complex over playing the game. That's one of the biggest reasons I see people have imposter syndrome. You study marketing, you're figuring out how to sell, you're figuring out how to make cash happen, but because you know the game and you understand what's happening in the brain and all the chemicals that are involved in the purchasing process, you start to get a complex over it. And you say, I'm not gonna go play the game anymore, I don't know about this anymore, and you freak out. The public wants to play the game. Their brains want to play the game. The high that you get, right, when you go and you purchase something is half of the reason somebody buys something. Case in point, have you ever bought something from Amazon just because you had a bad day? Right? You're getting all kinds of dopamine, baby, right? You're getting dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins pumping right in your veins from your own head. Play the game. Don't let that be the reason that you feel like you're an imposter. Hey guys, I got a free gift here for you. Go to capitalismswag.com. We decided to make my famous Capitalist Pig shirt free. Just cover the shipping. It is free though, and it prints and ships same day. The link is in the description and in the first comments. I'm excited for you to get yours.